Okay, this is part two of the psychological construct, vital explanations, and why I am reliable playlist. Remember, they're changing my voice. So, in this part, we will discuss Royal African Falcon top martial arts. Okay, what is the Royal African Falcon top martial art idea? Okay, so it's heterosexual, transcendent, right? It is goes beyond all other martial arts systems. Okay, when you talk about martial arts systems, there's judo, there's jeet kune do, there's capoeira, there's karate, there's jujitsu, etc., and on and on and on and on. Okay, but what are these systems? These are worldly, profane systems. Now, why do I say it's profane? Do I say it to insult people as my main goal? No. Do I say it because it's true? And do I say it because it's true? And if as a consequence of telling the truth people are insulted, it must be seen as an acceptable consequence? Yes. Other martial arts systems refuse to publicly and clearly point to the Royal African Falcon top martial arts order, and that is rather disingenuous. Now, I could talk about history, but history is something that people lie about so much, and they present false evidence for Eurocentrism, ethnocentrism, political agendas, social agendas, sexual agendas, financial agendas, that there's no point. So instead, I'm going to explain it in terms of what you know already. Everyone on this planet, with any sense at all, knows that God put a certain type of black person in charge of all the human race, and people split into different groups and they rebelled against him. I'm not racist, I'm part white, but this has to be said. To understand the truth, we have to speak frankly, candidly. So what is the Royal African Falcon top martial arts order? Okay, first of all, again, the sun is not God. The sun is not God. The falcon is not God. These are ideas that are there to help you understand God and God's plan. The Bible is not the Word of God. It is a book that is made confusing on purpose to help you understand and to confuse you about God's plan. That is what it is there for. It was made for. Okay? So, to understand why Falcon martial arts, why do I call it that? Okay? Am I talking about everyone's conception of who Horus is? No. I'm talking about the idea that Horus is superimposed on. Okay, the true idea. One could argue it is Horus. It's semantics, right? It's the original idea in its pure form before people started lying about who Horus and Jesus are. Both of them are ideas that people claim are the Son of God. Okay, so why the falcon? The falcon is the fastest animal, and with speed comes agility. Okay, it has a certain natural nature, unlike the Western and Eastern systems of martial arts that insist on reinforcing the psychological constructs of the state. Okay, and of course here in America, which is considered the West, they've been acting in a very immature manner that is similar to their hazing and their political harassment campaigns over what they're concerned with is relatively petty compared to what's at stake here. I mean, we're talking very immature. And there are countless people who have taken American martial arts, or who are teaching American martial arts, or who are taking American martial arts who are helping them out. So again, why the falcon? Speed, the association with speed and agility when you actually are fast in martial arts. Evolving toward flying fast, surgical strikes. Okay, the falcon when it's hunting flies at speeds of up to 242 miles per hour. So when it strikes a smaller bird, if it hits it head on, it will die, so it has to strike it surgically. It is said to fly the closest to the sun. The message of the falcon is similar to the message of the sun as a symbol of God, sending life and righteousness in the world from afar. The falcon king is the ideal man and the top martial artist ever. And the true falcon king of all kings, me, the king of kings, is the top martial artist ever possible due to technology ruining any possibility of any valid victory in the future. The breeding that they have controlled to a large degree is to more than a large enough degree to rule out any valid births, okay, in the last 15 years and forevermore. Okay, they're cheating, they're organized cheating, they're performance enhancing drugs. Their generational ill-gotten gains have made it clear that I am the top martial artist ever possible and the last valid martial artist to ever be alive in the flesh. Okay, so through these symbols in nature, we know that God chose a leader. That's what the Egyptians were arguing as well with their Horus argument, is that Horus is like the sun and the falcon and like the sky, right? Who was called a sky god, right? There's certain grace you see in the sky, that, at least at this point to some degree, a certain, righteousness. In the future, no, there's a bunch of, LGBT people and frats and social clubs and whites and Jews and token minorities who seek to change the look of things in nature. For those of you who don't believe me, when you hear this, keep that in mind as you go through life. You'll start to see the evidence of it, unless you're an idiot or something. Okay, so they want things to look like Rainbow Bright, Power Rangers, Care Bear, Powerpuff Girls, kind of, cartoonish, surrealism, right? So people miss the kind of profound message through nature. They've even managed to change my voice in the videos and in real life after years of fuming me, and to change my speech patterns as well. Okay. All right. Also to consider, the falcon is a symbol of nature, not technology. Okay, not treachery, right? It's associated with gracefulness, love, and separation from the evil of the world. There's a certain self-respect that it has, dignity, decency, is associated with righteousness and justice, and the Egyptians saw it that way as well. It is also seen as being above other life forms, right? The falcon said it's not good enough to go into the hole like a snake or whatever. It wanted to fly high into the heavens. It chose the heavens in its evolutionary direction. It also has a certain natural spiritual wealth, instead of, kind of artificial construct wealth. The word martial is marital scrambled. The bridegroom, right? Marriage. Okay, the anointed bridegroom. And mate selection, the fair reproductive cycle. So you see the word pharaoh and the fair reproductive cycle are connected. The bridegroom, why is the pharaoh superimposed on the bridegroom? Why is the Christ superimposed on the bride? What is a bridegroom? Okay, who is the true pharaoh, if you will? Who is the true Christ? He's the one that nature has shown us, right? Like Jesus says in the Bible, the one God set apart as his very own. He said, that's the top martial artist ever. Okay, when David faced Goliath, they were both championing a cause, right? Their people, principles, the idea of their gods or God, what have you. Okay? I champion the idea of universal pinpoint and moral precision from God. The characteristics and the principles are more important than the details in the story. Like if his name was David or not, or Jesus or not. This is neither here nor there. Okay? The principles of not accepting homosexuality, okay, in terms of the Spirit of God. The Spirit of God is not gay. God separated the male from female. He separated the light from the darkness. Okay? And that is key in understanding this thing. Okay? So this is more important than, what year was King Solomon born or whatever. So the falcon is the idea of the truth, right? The falcon doesn't sit there doing math. It doesn't keep records, neither does the sun. It just communicates its natural greatness, and it communicates God's message, and it lives that message, unless it's interfered with. But that message transcends the fools who would interfere. So why the Royal African Falcon Martial Order? The vision, right? Vies, right? Vision and vies, right? What is he vying for? What did the falcon go for? It went so he could fly and be fast and fly by the sun and be in the sky and be in the heavens, okay? A divine, right? Divine is like the word diving. Diving and divine. Talons and talent, okay? We see it all in the language of those who interfere, right? The West, the main people who interfere, the white, Jew, and LGBT communities, if we look at them as groups, and there's some kind of spectrum where some of them might disagree with the other ones, but they're still on board because they didn't separate themselves from the world and come into the Falcon Order, and then from there disagree. Okay, their disagreement is like Goebbels disagreeing with Hitler over how to invade a certain area. It's not the disagreement between God and the devil. And when you come into the Falcon order, you understand that to the point that you live it. You don't just understand it and then turn your back on it. If you understand it to some degree and you turn your back on it, that's called being pure evil in a calculated manner. True understanding is living righteousness and justice.